Welcome back, one and all, to the Amazon EU Masters, which, of course, Dusty just took down Matchco in our first game of groups and our first game of the day. And look, I gotta love the fact that Matchco threw in a couple of their curveballs, but it was home runs all the way for Dusty.
It was right the way from that level 1 throughout the rest of the game. They just found themselves on a strong front foot, good laning performances, good skirmish picking as well. And then we saw this great phase of play somewhere through the middle of the game where there was a kill in mid after Heimerdinger just overstays a little bit. And yes, there's a Heimerdinger in this game. Then they get a kill into the jungler. Sejuani goes for a fortunate steal, doesn't get it, and then suddenly the game just feels very out of sorts from Matchco. They can't deal with the lane allocations which Dusty have had, and they just run away with the game after that point, besides that one Baron take under their noses.
Yeah, like I said, it was a couple of curveballs that basically go, oh, maybe there's something here, but outside of that, it was easy hittings here for Dusty. They just knew that their composition could play this front to back far better. And again, we talked about it, why these off-meta picks need to snowball, why they need to kind of do crazy and wonderful things, because if they don't, you're just in a worse situation than if you just had a standard, you know, meta pick, if that makes sense.
And though both of these teams are no strangers to these very innovative picks, playing their combos, Dusty, this Icelandic team, managed to pick up the win. They really were dominant in this. This is just after the Baron was taken, this clip as well, and immediately they don't get cowed by it. They show another hallmark of them, which is their mental fortitude. Even when something bad happens to the team, it's like, all right, let's just keep going. We're going to find a good play after this, and that's exactly what they do. They never gave up in this game, and they just continued going from advantage to advantage.
Yeah, it just felt like they never really were panicked. Even when the Baron got snuck away from them, and, you know, you're kind of thinking, oh man, that's like a really big objective. They still found an opportunity to kill someone in mid lane. They still basically got rid of like 3 Barons off of them about 30, 40 seconds after they were picked. And then they just never panicked and never really kind of went into a mode where they felt like they were ever out of control.
Yeah, and we should take a moment to praise Matchco though for, even as one of these non-accredited ERL teams, one which has not always had the greatest expectations. Again, I was talking to Moonboy before we came into this match, and they had middling expectations of this team. They were exciting, they came in with a clear game plan, and while they were outplayed and eventually went down to a loss, they gave us something to think about, and they played their own style, which is by no means a small thing on this stage.
No, absolutely not. Again, you got to try and show your mark right now. Not only is it an opportunity to win some silverware, but for a lot of players, it is just an opportunity to show what you have, what you've got in your tank to kind of maybe, you know, fair enough, your team might not do well, but you might do well. So it's always those little individual performances that can be a big difference for these teams.
Yeah, and of course with the side of Dusty, maybe it's a little beyond that. We've heard about the aspirations of some of their teammates. Stend, in one of his interviews, was saying that he really wants to go to a top LFL team, go forward from there to the top, to the LEC, even further beyond that. And a lot of these players are quite young as well. Linces, the jungler of Dusty, only 18 years old, but you can see how impressive he has been through the NLC split, had some good Wukong engages this time too, particularly the way that he was playing around the top side of the map, was being a very strong instigator for his team. And a lot of these players came up with a good showing here. They'll need to keep it up for the rest of the groups. There is some tough competition in here, but this is a good start.
Yeah, some tough competition, but we're going to have a quick interview now with the AD carry from the side of Dusty, Den Voxna. I believe you should be coming into us right now. How are you feeling now after your win? Of course, great start for you guys.
Yeah, honestly, I'm really happy we won this one. It's the first game you don't know like what's coming out, and I guess they picked Sheo Heimerdinger, right? So I'm really happy we pulled ourselves together, or just like, you know, took it calm, not panicking, just play our game, and then we take a win, and now we... for, you know, our next games, we will always have like data of what did people play, what did they draft, all these things, because everything we know is like 2 weeks old at least, or like 1 week old. So I'm really happy we come out with a win in the first game.
And I love a lot of what you were saying there, because one of the things we were saying about the upper bracket final from NLC was when you went into the finals, like, look, Dusty could be a really strong team if they play their game. And in that series, took it a little while to do that. You had to come back with that reverse sweep. But coming into this first game, you did play your game. The question, which I'm really interested about, though, is what is it like playing against another team that plays their own version of just this weird game? What's it like comparing the two?
I think it's weird because we want to, you know, have a good draft, but at the same time, we know from our own experience, if you give them what they like, what they played a lot before doing the whole split, like that's usually your own comfort, you know. While everything after that, maybe you bring out something spicy, it's not as good. So we were like, okay, well, we need to try and think what, if we were them, would be our top picks, or if we were them, like what would we not want to play against if with their champion pools. And I think we found something that was good for us, like I played Aphelios a lot before.
Nautilus, yeah.
We've played Nautilus, but it's like we played this before, but at the same time, I think it's actually good into the way they play the game. So that's why I think I'm happy with the way we like tackled this, and it's always fun to play against a team that doesn't just like, you can't predict everything. In this case, we didn't predict anything, so. That's actually a bag to
got rid of the Ivor, and that was all you wanted to get rid of.
So,
it was
if that's the prediction thing, one thing which I'd love you to just give a little bit of a window into in terms of predictions is what do you feel about yourselves and then of course X7 as the NLC representatives against the field at UMasters? Because of course we're on the stream for the first time for the main stage. Not everyone will be familiar with all these regions. What do you feel like the NLC is going to be like stacking up against the arrayed competition?
I think people watch a lot more of the other regions, so they have like a lot higher expectations. But at the same time, I don't think NLC were like this crazy dark horse, like, oh my god, like they're gonna take it all. Like, I think we're just two good teams, like just like all the other teams that are here. So like, I wouldn't be surprised if we barely make it out, or like barely don't make it out of groups, or if we like make it far. I think we're an equal competitor to a lot of the other seeds, and people are kind of, I feel like, maybe putting us a bit below that. I think that's just what I would want to say. Like, maybe we're gonna do very great, or great. I think we will. I have high expectations, but at the same time, I know all our other competition is thinking the same and is working the same and preparing the same. So I think we're just two teams, just like the rest, but proud to represent the Nordic region. Yeah.
No, I like that you put it as just kind of two teams trying their best and making sure what they can kind of go for it. I have one last question before we go into it. Obviously, we saw a couple of crazy pocket picks from the side of Matchco. You don't tell me exactly what it is, but do you guys have some of those like sneaky ones up your sleeve just in case you need it?
A little bit, like I don't think we have something like the Sheo I'm doing up, but like I think people who kind of know Dusty a bit more maybe knows a bit more as well, but for sure
I prefer not to speak. If I speak, I am in big trouble.
This is not our.
That's all right. You don't have to tell us.
Maybe our a bit more standard stuff. Like you can try and ban this out and then see what we'll bring out. You saw Darius ban there in the first rotation. Maybe there's something about that. Like you'll just have to wait and see. Watch our next games, because I think I actually can't wait. It's gonna be so good. So.
I'm so excited to see you guys, and of course, thank you, congratulations on your win, and thank you so much for the interview. We wish you the best of luck in your next few games. So we're gonna obviously move now forward into our next game of the day. Always great to get to talk to a guy. He seems so excited as well. Great to see that energy coming out here from the Dusty carry.
Very talkative guy who's very intelligent about the game, as you can obviously tell from that interview. I love the way that he kind of gave us this overview of the event. It's just like, look, we're just another good team in a field of good teams. I think that's a great way to view this.
I was getting like American sitcom music in my ears, where it's just like two teams, man. It's just It's just
so we've had the Clone Wars. We're gonna have like 2.5 teams at this point. I'm not really sure what we're doing in terms of like.
Is that what JDXL are? Oh my god. Hey, you give me, you troll them up, I'm gonna knock them out, man. That's just how it is.
Sometimes I wonder why I'm here, but I'm here to watch some great League of Legends, and we saw some here from the side of Dusty, and it's great to see them again get off to that first game to good success, because he was saying there as well, just making sure that you get the first win in place is really important when you don't really know anything about the other teams. You don't have that same footage and the data to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like I said, 2 weeks old. Curious to see how teams kind of move forward now after seeing a couple of, again, slowly but surely, the mini metas of tournaments tend to develop depending on what people feel is strong and what isn't. And of course, always looking forward to those pocket picks. But we're going to move forward now into our second game of the day. It is BDS Academy coming up against Valiance. And this is going to be a bit of an uphill battle here for the Balkan regions, but it is going to be something that maybe they could take it apart, because I won't lie to you, I'm excited about the top lane for one reason and one reason only. And he's goddamn Irish. He's an Irishman in the top lane. Let's go, boys.
So I also want to talk about ArcaneTeddy for different reasons. And we'll get around to BDS Academy, of course, as an LFL team. You really do need to pay them a lot of attention and talk so much about this team. But for Valiance, I'm looking at ArcaneTeddy because I cast some of his very first pro games. Back when he was playing an amateur in the UKEL, you used to have the NLC, then the Telia series, and the UKLC, and then the UKEL. Yep. So far down the chain, I cast some of this guy's very first games in that amateur scene, and he was an absolute rocket. This guy was MVP of that league, playing top lane carries, Renekton, Gwen back in that time too. And then he went on into this split and this split obviously going into this region, but before that was around Div 2. This guy has continued to improve, continued to grow as a player. And for me, on a personal level, seeing ArcaneTeddy make it to EU Masters, because I've seen so much of his journey, is really satisfying. Honestly, is up against Adam, is up against BDS Academy.
Hey man, I'm just saying, like, everyone underestimates the Irish and they always come out trumps, you know? It's always how it is. Ireland beat New Zealand in the rugby a few weeks ago. Everyone was expecting
as a Welsh fan,
lose.
I don't really get as much victories as those nowadays.
See, that's the thing, because you're Welsh, you're not Irish. You got to be Irish. But anyway, I'll come back to that. If he has a pop-off performance, prepare for some trad Irish tunes coming out of me as I go some Shano singing. But BDS Academy going to be on the blue side, and of course we're going to have the EBL champions in Valiance coming in onto the red, and it's going to be the Trundle and the Yuumi band away. The Trundle does signify to me that you want to put Sheo onto that Poppy because it is such an incredibly powerful counter into it.
Well, I was thinking that too, but then I chatted to Middlecart, who's done some of the LFL English casting, and he was just saying that Sheo is the early game skirmish mastermind, and normally you would think Poppy about that too. So suddenly I'm thinking Poppy, and it's like, no, Vi, Wukong, give him these champions. Apparently those are really the picks which BDS Academy have flourished with the most, and though they didn't win on other picks in their own playoffs, see, I was looking at the stats, I'm like, well, that's a lot of losses there. You then go into the games and you think, oh, yeah, but they were against LDLC. It's a very difficult team to really judge based on their playoff stats at that point, but this team did end up beating LDLC in a best of 5, which is not something many teams can say at this point. And BDS Academy now, with that first pick, going to pick up the Lulu, which is an enchanter for Erdote, of course, who has been playing around the LEC level and can bring that to the stage.
And I like this pickup as well. It does open up, like, normally we do see the AD carries being picked up first, but picking up the Lulu just leaves you open so many different opportunities. You can still take the Zeri, you can still take the Yuumi, or excuse me, the Yuumi, the Sivir, but it kind of like leaves that up to interpretation. It doesn't mean you have to take it up straight away, and you know the Yuumi's already banned, so the other kind of top tier enchanter is no longer available.
My main locked in on the other side, Diva has played 8 games of that in this split so far, and of course has been one of our big meta picks for the entire of the season. I've been absolutely spoiled in the amount of times that this champion has been picked up, and it does give you this ability to play around a strong, pushing early mid laner that can join skirmishes very, very well, and hopefully, especially with someone like a Viego, give you some mid jungle power. Against BDS Academy though, and their top side, even if you have that power, the strength of the names on the other side is so hard to disregard. Sheo, as we're talking about, so good at being this early game mastermind. Reeker also been a player which came in with LEC experience, played a lot of high skirmish impact picks. If you are going to lock in that Vi, which has been one of Sheo's real most powerful picks, you can see that they're going towards that identity again.
Yeah, and again, this is kind of just something to look out for. I mean, looking at BDS Academy's team, Adam, previous LEC experience, Reeker, previous LEC experience, Crownie, Erdote, these are all, and in case you aren't aware, Crownie is Crown Shot. He just happened to have a little bit of a rename. So this is just kind of, again, a wealth of knowledge for people who have been at the top of the European game.
And on the other side, Valiance, so I actually had a chat with Teddy just before they came into this tournament. I was just saying, hey, I'm casting your game. How are you feeling? And he was like, you know what? I'm just glad to be here, and I would love to see how our level compares to these teams. They're probably going to be walking in with middling expectations again, but for them to try and really punch up, take a name off of one of these really big, well-established teams would mean so much to the EBL and to these teams' players.
Yeah, and again, like you look historically as well, even just as the EBL as an organization within the EU Masters, they have been one of the few regions of the developing scenes in the ERLs to give people a bit of a hard time, to throw that curveball and make it so it's a little bit more difficult for the side of, you know, the expected favorite to kind of just walk all over them. And I love seeing that coming out from the emerging regions as such, but we'll see what they're able to kind of go for. I do like the Amumu coming in here now for the side of Valiance, because they're able to kind of put themselves into a much better kind of hard engaged composition with their jungler being a lot more skirmish heavy in the Viego.
Yeah, and typically BDS Academy have played more late game insurance on that bot side, and if you have any late game insurance, something like a Sivir or a Zeri really does add to that. They've locked that in. It's strong and safe within that laning phase. The Amumu, it does want to fight in lane most of the time, especially with your very strong level 1, Question is, what can Paladin really pick up to really big success here? They did play a fair bit of the misfortune within some of their later games in the season as well and into those finals. So maybe that's a big combo that they want to play around. But doing that into a Vi when the Vi can reach your backline is kind of difficult. Instead of something like that, which is more about the team fight, they're hovering something which is a bit more of that lane control and that lane kill threat. Draven's locked in, so you might have late game insurance. Let's see if it gets there, if this 2v2 from Paladin and Postkassen can start popping off.
See if they can pop off. The Draven and the Amumu, very much a kill lane there, especially with the single target CC you can bring in with the Viego. You gotta go into bandage toss, into stun, into another bandage toss. Hell of a lot of ways to try and just kind of pick someone and make them die. Hard to do that though into a Lulu Sivir. Spell shields, shielding in general, glitter lances to slow you down, little things like that. And again, we're kind of seeing what BDS are kind of going for. Very stock standard, looking for that Aatrox. I will say though, that Aatrox is blind, so you're not exactly sure what it's going into, and there are going to be things here for ArcaneTeddy to maybe give himself a better laning phase.
And he has really been a player that has played over the duelists. To see the Fiora ban there, cast his Fiora so many times at this point, that would have been very dangerous for them. Adam has also had his big pocket picks. I think he's picking something that he can take on into all comers. Middlecop was saying that actually the way that he drafts is he picks pure BS in the 1v1 just to have control over that top side. And Aatrox in the right matchups can have a lot of lane pressure. So it really is now on Valiance's top laner, on ArcaneTeddy, the Irish representative here, the resident, to see if he can pick something which can at least hold to account the top side of the map.
Yeah, well, this is definitely something that can, not as excited for this, but does have some pretty decent solo kill pressure. I will say that the Sejuani does do very well in a lot of these situations, but we are now starting to move away from 1v1ing for the side of Valiance to now the side of fighting. You're looking for picks, you're looking to try and overload CC onto one member of BDS Academy, whereas BDS Academy are kind of doing the same thing. Pick someone, see them, kill them.
Yeah, and they have so much ability to do that. The follow-up is absolutely insane. On the other side, I think that it is going to be more about the less numerous skirmishes, more like your 2v2s, rather than like the 3v3s and the 4v4s, where someone comes running into the fight with a Sivir roll or an Aatrox ult running, something like that. Because if you have this isolated mid-jungle 2v2, not bad champions for a side of Valiance to pick up something difficult against Vi Lissandra, but you can see the fighting power there. Same with the 2v2, that can very much help too. I'm just worried what happens when BDS Academy just flip that switch and they just go into full skirmish mode and everyone turns up, because I think at that point Valiance don't have the tools to deal with it.
Yeah, when BDS Academy go full gremlin mode and you're just kind of being overrun by these little things that are just kind of constantly nicking at you, and even then you might be able to survive, but is it any way of living? That's kind of the way I was going to look at it.
It's like when you're in like Left 4 Dead, it's just the horde is coming, try and survive.
Yeah. It's kind of what it feels like, you know, the LFL teams, you know, and their supporters and stuff. It does feel like momentum is another part of their game plan that just works so well for them. Little things that can kind of move in their favor.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily call it a horde. It reminds me of, so this is going to be a real throwback. Remember when Unicorns of Love, like the actual main team, were back in EU LCS? People were calling them this chaos style. I would call it more like a wolf pack. You just come to the call. When someone is there, the rest of the team are responding to them. And when I look at an early skirmish team like BDS Academy, that's what I'd call them. They're hungry, they're out for blood, and all of them got some damn sharp teeth.
Yeah, they really, really do. But we'll see if they can sink their fangs into some EBL meat, or if the EBL's got some fight left in them. This is, of course, their first game of their campaign in the main group stage here at the Amazon EU Masters. And of course, don't forget to claim your August/September League of Legends monthly capsule for all of the Prime shoppers out there for your chance to get RP, Mythic Essence skins, and more. And I know my producer's got a big old smile. He's going to tick that off the box and go, well done. We go towards the game.
So, a lot of this for me will be whether Valiance can make a dent in the laning phase. If you don't have that, you don't have much of a platform to fight off of. Hard thing to ask, though, against players of the caliber that BDS Academy are bringing to the table. As you were saying, Sheen, so much LEC experience, which will help this team get off the ground, especially against a team which is not necessarily looking later into the bracket. They're just looking to see what experience they can bring and what bloody noses they can leave in this group stage.
Again, we're talking about the skirmishing coming out here from Valiance, but will they be able to find anybody going a little bit too far forward? You do have plenty of tools to kind of stop yourself here from being caught out on the side of BDS Academy. And of course, for BDS Academy, plenty of experience. They would have reviewed the VODs. They're actually very late invades. They're actually going to maybe look towards kind of stopping out this Lulu. They haven't spotted out, though, as you can see the pings, and they know that Adam is on the top side as well.
Oh, but this is going to be so harsh for ArcaneTeddy. As much as I like the fact that you're playing around the Draven and the amount of CC you have early, I just look at the other side of the map and I'm like, this poor Sejuani versus the Vi, the Aatrox, and the Lissandra, which can make their way up there. If ArcaneTeddy falls behind on an individual level, you don't get to survive a lot of the top lane pressure, which can get put out by the enemy team.
You do not, but ArcaneTeddy just kind of making sure. And I will say the pressure down bot side again. You got to be very careful. Yeah,
I mean, that's 3 summoners from the bot lane. Crownie,
what
as
happened?
much as he, well, I would imagine that was an ignite and advantage charge landing from Postkassen. Of course, you don't have the spell shield at this point, and suddenly it's a very early recall from Crownie. He's not necessarily played a lot of the early game this split, so says the LFL English casting team. And now he has to play early game. He can't just sit there and be like, hey, I'm just going to be strong late game. If you're allowing this Draven this much leeway in lane, it is a big problem.
I will say, yeah, that's a pretty of a big win now coming in here. As we can see King with 5 Gs coming in here now, as just going to be forced off this one. This is the problem with kind of getting a little bit of a vertical jungly. He want to try and trade it back so he wouldn't lose out on buffs, but yeah, you don't get to make that decision, King. You got to try and back away. You don't have pressure in mid. You do have pressure in top, and you can see ArcaneTeddy trying to maybe make a move here, but you should have really probably just accepted you're not going to be able to take any of your top side camps.
Oh, and now ArcaneTeddy's got a wave, which is either going to crash or be held on the other side of the wave. This is really dangerous to the top side of the map. King can't be there to bail out the top side. Sheo doesn't have to rush towards top side. Already, Adam is going to have the wave in a good place to either deny farm or take a very dangerous trade. He can stack it up if he wants to. Sheo gets to spend the time forcing ArcaneTeddy into a bad position after he's already taken those camps. No rush. ArcaneTeddy's already in a difficult position.
Yeah, and I mean, this is smart from ArcaneTeddy. He knows that the Vi is on the top side. He knows his jungler's bot lane, so he just has to kind of concede the fact that he may be going to lose 1 or 2 minions, and especially even the push into that lane. But Sheo is kind of taking all the camps now, very happy, very satisfied with the amount of gold he's able to get. And I will say now Reeker doing a fairly decent job here onto Diva. You got to be careful then, Ahri. You really do struggle into Lissandra early.
It can get a little bit even. I think that it is much more even than what we're seeing on screen right now. I think that's more testament to what Reeker can do on the pick. But particularly since we've seen the cleanse and the spellbook picked up, Ahri's managed to have much more presence early into Lissandra than we were seeing around MSI when it was still a lot less cleanse being taken and a lot more electrocute, where you have to you're forced to win the lane or just die trying. This time it is just more of a graceful loss from Diva at this point. Won't be back in time to claim this minion wave. They're cannon involved, which will be problematic for that, but it's not going to be the game-breaking advantage just yet.
I think you're biased towards Ahri's, though. I will
oh, really?
Be honest.
Where have you found that one out?
I don't know. I have a little inkling in the back of my mind that says, you know what, you have a little bit of a soft spot for Ahri's, and well, maybe you be you're huffing the copium a little too hard.
Well, in this one, I am at least very happy that we do see King heading up towards his top side and potentially looking for something. Adam gonna get ignited. Has the flash though.
He has the flash, but he uses it so early so they can follow it up so easily. This is so well played from the BBL champions, and that is first blood going to King.
Oh, and that is so important, because right the way through this early game, I was sitting there going, what's going to happen with this Sejuani? Sejuani's in a bad spot. What's happening with this wave top lane? And it's the first blood over to the Viego with the help of that Sejuani. Suddenly the top side from Valiance isn't nearly as in a bad state as I thought it might be. It starts with just no camps being up from Viego, a bit of a free run at the map, goes towards top side, and Adam's just pushed too far up. We've seen this a couple of times from him as a player at the top level in the LEC, but here in the EU Masters stage, he's caught out for first blood in his first game.
I mean, he wanted to try and reset the wave. You could see he was going for a little bit of harassment. He wanted to try and push it in so he can get that reset out, but sadly for him, wasn't expecting King to be off on the side lanes, and now the Amumu is here, but that's just for a little bit of extra pressure. Does pop off a little bit of a minion dematerializer and says, thank you very much, and there's your little bit of extra gold.
So that does mean that the wave's going to be collected at Paladin. Not able to use anything kind of kill threat towards that bot side, but Postkassen, yeah, really just on the roam. Crownie and Erdote are going to be doing that instead themselves, and everyone loves going towards mid lane, turns out. Support goes from one side, entire bot lane of the other one rushes up the next time. BDS Academy just making sure they're in position to respond should a play be made.
Able to respond if they, as you mentioned, something does go down. So we'll see what they end up kind of working from here. And I like this from King saying, look, you don't have a flash, man. We're going to have Ignite up way before your flash is available. Yeah. So got to be careful, though. World Ender with that extra movement speed and, of course, the empowered auto attacks and, of course, the extra damage does mean it's a bit more of a tenuous one to go up on the top side. But nice moves here coming out from BDS Academy to make sure their top lane does not get cut. And Sheo just kind of covering around the side saying, look, I'm going to hover here to make sure you can reset this.
Well, ArcaneTeddy looking towards the top side, and he's speaking of that World Ender, it's got a Vi on top of it too.
There's a flash in, but they're going to be able to use the ultimate to try and trade this one back. Adam goes underneath the tower, but he does land the sweet spot and does get revenge now. 1-1 in the kill scores.
Sheo didn't have much impact on the game besides those Raptors, but turns up top at the right time and gets top lane on the board. Teddy, no teleport, going to lose another wave to that tower, and Sheo flips that top lane matchup right back into their favor.
Yeah, really, really nicely done. Again, the kind of false confidence to think that you maybe could survive that onto the Sejuani. Seen that a bit so far today between the two Sejuani tops we've had, but again, very nicely done here by BDS Academy. Just making sure they're totting up their their top side. That Aatrox is going to be going up towards that Eclipse, so you really want to try and get that spike as early as possible.
Yeah, and now we are looking towards those spikes coming in at some point. We can see that first dragon being warded out again, not easily taken. Even in the first game, it was a bit of a late first dragon take. I think that a lot of these teams don't really want to leave themselves out of position when they're going towards it. What that does mean is that Herald is up and available. Valiance are in position to have first crack at it, but because the Scuttle Crab is given vision, they're not going to immediately run towards it, especially with the double ultimates of the Lissandra and the Vi available. If you walk into a bad situation, you get locked down for so long, that's a big problem for you.
I like this little move as well coming out from Valiance because they said, look, we stopped the Lulu from backing. This is a native 4v3. The Lulu has not respawned or recalled, so we are going to have the numbers advantage regardless of what they do on top side. No flash on the Vi either means that getting in and out of a fight would definitely be a bit more of a one-way mission, shall we say. And now you got yourself a Reptile. So now where do you want to see them use this newfound buff and get themselves as much of advantage as possible?
Well, I want to see them throw it into the Draven. And of course, that's because Golden AD carries is good, but it's actually slightly caveated by Draven as a champion as well. Because often, when you're cross-mapping, you just think, oh, we're trading 1-for-1 in towers. Maybe your top laner gets dove or something. If you make the mistake and keep your top laner on the tower against a Draven and they get killed, that's a cash-in as well. I'd love to see Valiance maybe just force BDS into an awkward position where maybe they forget about the effect of Draven in this game. And let's see if Paladin can get on the board with his first shutdown.
Well, does trade off for a little bit of a slower take on the Dragon, but a Dragon take nonetheless. You are waiting for a Curse of the Sad Mummy ultimate to come in for the Amumu. He's been making a lot of roams here, Postkassen, but he needs to get himself up to level 6. It's such an incredible spike of power with the Amumu. Yes, the bandage toss is nice, but you really do need that ultimate to make it kind of worth it, really, for the Amumu pick.
But I will raise you this. What if I could just be ever on the map and not get experience? Now, it's nice to look for those opportunities, and particularly when you have so many follow-up picks, and we did talk about the laning phase being important for Valiance to get there. These lower number skirmishes in their favor, right? Where you have, the just 2v2s erupting. I think looking for those isn't the wrong idea, but now you're right. Until you have that level 6, you're going to be feeling a little bit awkward, especially against the stronger ultimates on the top side of BDS for locking down targets.
Game comes a bit of a lull period right now. Not quite the explosive start we expected, given that we have the Draven and Amumu, and of course, not really that much focus going towards that bot side, really, from either jungler. Both AD carries very content to just farm up, maybe get up towards their first item. Of course, it will be the Eclipse coming in for the Draven. You are looking towards that Kraken Slayer or a Gale Force. Mainly the Kraken Slayer, I will say, for the Sivir. So I see the blue buff still in the way because BDSA just have a better bot lane control, so they can make the first move.
And does just mean that the series is just surviving. That can be really important. Postkassen probably not surviving at this point, but ultimate is pulled eventually.
They're going to try and pull in on top of him. Remember, he doesn't have his ultimate just yet. We're going to see the wild growth and the heal put down on the Sheo. He's going very aggressive, and they get the kill back. So that's going to be jungler for support, and you've got the resets here for the Viego. He's going to use it to try and get out of this one here because Diva not quite got the damage to try and make this one stick, but a 1-for-1. Valiant's not quite willing to let this one go. World Ender's been popped. The Ignite goes down. The flash, though, from Adam keeps him safe, and in the 1v1, he's now starting to take over.
ArcaneTeddy just gets mauled under turret, has the ultimate, but can't stun Adam up quick enough. So Adam walks away, uses the flash, but in the isolated 1v1, top side going well for BDS Academy. In the enemy jungle, though, they overreached a little bit. Imagine how far that could have gone if it's Draven that picks up the kill. Been farming all this early game. That's 11 minutes of catching axes. That could have been a huge cash-in. Very fortunate for them that it doesn't end up that way, but Sheo is the one that starts this up. Postkassen used that flash very early. Doesn't have that level 6, which impacts these trades so much, whereas Erdote does have the wild growth to make things a little bit harder for Valiance to shut down the first carries. But you can see what happens when Paladin has to start spinning these axes. There was no AD carry from BDS Academy at the start of this fight, and even this early into the game, that is a big difference in damage.
I mean, it did feel like it was a very separated call from BDS, and yeah, no mana sadly for ArcaneTeddy. But again, very separated call at the start of that for BDSA. It was kind of like, okay, well, we didn't get anything. We got the flash out of him, no need. And you could even see it on the meme map. Like, Crownie starts to walk down back towards the wave and saying, all right, cool, I'm just going to keep farming up. But then they go fully in. It again pulls him back up towards the fight because they're going to say, well, we're a bit overextended now. We need a bit of a helping hand here, man.
Now, Teddy has the mana this time, but there is Lissandra to make things a little more spicy. Who's it going to be used on?
Yeah, well, he's going to get the ultimate down, but he does get the ultimate back, and Reeker has nowhere to go. So, ArcaneTeddy in a 2v1 actually gets a 1-for-1 trade.
Well, that's why I was asking you, who's the ult going to be onto, because you can reset tower aggro with it. The ult gets thrown up just before ArcaneTeddy falls down, and the mid lane Sheo managing to get the Spirit Rush out of Diva for free. While it's happening though, it is a 1-for-1 isolation, but it's another wave lost the tower. It's 3 plates now off that top lane turret, and Adam, he's winning his 1v1 after a little bit of a road bump in the early game. 3-1, lots of turrets, lots of ability to impact this game as the Aatrox.
Now you have the Curse and Stab Mummy available here for Postkassen, but we'll see if he's able to make anything really stick with it. It's going to take a bit of a move right now coming out from the side of Valiance. Very close. You said it, and now I can't stop thinking about it. But you know, there are a kill down. Top lane is definitely where I'd almost argue all the advantage is. It is only a couple of hundred gold.
Valiance, so head to Valorant. Try saying that 5 times quickly.
I'd really rather not, but but again, like, you know, where did BDS want to try and move this? You've got a fed Aatrox. You actually went towards the board Reeker instead of the Eclipse, which you've been seeing in pro play so much. So where do you want to try and see them transition now and try and maybe make more of a bigger gap between themselves and the EVL champions?
Well, I think it comes in the enemy jungle. I think you have a lot of way. Well, mid lane's another place you can do it. Just pop your ults and so on, see if you can kill him.
I mean, no seeing if you can kill him whatsoever. No Spirit Rush available. So the Amumu now getting caught up. Remember, no flash from the last time, but with the jungler here available to him, going to try and help him as best he can, but they're going to try and keep pushing forward onto this one here. No real damage they're going to follow up on. Never mind. You're going to use the bandage toss to maybe keep them interested, and that's just going to be a nice little kill back there. So Adam, he thought he could get the kill on the turret, and he gets completely outdone. That's just a turret diff.
And the Irish top laner takes the kill. ArcaneTeddy gets himself a second of the game.
Not yet.
But he's found himself another kill there as Adam gets a little bit overconfident. You can see what's happening with BDS Academy, right? They're isolating this top lane to allow Adam to just flex those mechanical muscles while they're finding skirmishes on the bot side. But we're starting to see our Valiance are actually punching back pretty okay in some of these scenarios. They are down in neutrals though. BDS Academy are very much ahead. They are winning out in a lot of these different metrics. Though Valiance, they're not falling apart just yet.
Not quite. Let's have a look at this one here, because again, Adam just kind of focuses so hard on the turret, but when does he start taking aggro? That is my question. No, literally doesn't at all. It just really just waits until the minion dies, and then sadly, you don't have Eclipse. I think if you had Eclipse, he actually would have gotten it.
Maybe it wouldn't have, because the extra lethality, of course, works on towers, of course, being a large man of base AD as well. Just gets you a lot of that involved. But with that being said, tower has now fallen, but it's not going to stop Valiance from getting their second herald. And we'll have to see where they use that one, especially if they can use that to secure an area of the map for them to have actual vision over. Maybe that can stop BDS Academy through their top side picks, getting so much vision to make plays as they have been doing before. Making another play, they might just shut down the Draven.
They might just be able to do it. He does have a little bit of a shield from the Eclipse, but not quite able to save himself. There's going to be one that's going to be a flash away by the Amumu to make sure he doesn't fall down. Stun's going to be good, and Everfrost comes down, an immediate cleanse of the Frozen Tomb, but it's not enough to stop the Ahri from falling down. So you get get the Rift Herald, but you lose 2 kills. And this is the gears that we were talking about, BDSA. They're starting to build up that momentum, and all of a sudden what was only a couple of hundred is now a couple of thousand in terms of the gold league.
And if early game skirmishes are the name of the game, BDS Academy are some of the very best players of it. You can see what they're doing with their initiation ultimates, finding picks, picking people out of position and brutalizing what Valiance want to do, and they're finding another opportunity to go topside.
They're going to try and jump into ArcaneTeddy. Net blind in on top of him. He's going to chop down his pink ward. He's still very tanky, and this is a very extended fight. You got Reeker coming in on top of this one here. There's the Draven ultimate alongside the Wild Growth as they try to make this one work, but look at Adam just kind of free hitting on the back end of this one. Resets. Here. It's a trade of 1 for 1. Resets are in. They get the stun. They get the charm. And BDSA, they go too far. The Hex Gates are going to be good to keep the Erdote Lulu alive. But BDSA getting very overzealous there. And like you said earlier, Valiant's kind of punching back.
Yeah, and while they are still playing in their own half for the map, they're getting gold off of kills. They're getting a couple of shutdowns and making sure they're not out of sight just yet. BDS Academy, if they make that mistake another time after that, suddenly the gold league gets very, very difficult. There are objective bounties on the map, but Adams doesn't want anyone to get hold of those.
No, we're going to see them guys move in on top of Paladin. A flash forward there from Crownie means he secures that kill. This Draven shall not be getting any monumentous stacks today. 2 quick deaths in succession means that his stacks are a little bit less than a little bit of a piggy bank at this stage.
Adam is just like running at every confrontation and just hoping he can outplay them mechanically. And honestly, he just is. Diva blows the ult on the bot side, manages to land the charm midway through that Umbral dash from Adam, and means that he can get out alive. That's another ultimate blown, and Adam is just flexing those mechanical muscles.
Yeah, Adam kind of coming in saying, look, I'm 5-2-1. I'm the carry right now. We have a Sivir if it does go ultra late game, but right now I need to start pushing down the, my foot on the throat of this side of Valiance. So really doing a good job, and we get to see another. Yeah, it's onto the Amumu. It's just so much pressure. They're being pulled apart.
Yeah, and reminded, this is 18 minutes into the game. This is not a long game. They have reached their points that they want to fight around, and they are just punishing Valiance wherever they're showing on the map. There was a point where there were these counter plays. You see that at least a top lane tower is going down from Valiance for a objective bounty, but BDS Academy are just wrecking the map.
I mean, it's a trade of turret, yes, but it's a tier 2 for a tier 1, and King trying to push forward a little bit more. Still has a bit of time on that Rift Herald, so going to use that Empowered Recall to maybe get himself back onto the map a little quicker with a minute until Dragon spawns. But this is getting difficult now for the side of Valiance. It's not really coming together as they would have wanted to, and now with a Death's Dance being finished up for the Aatrox and a Phantom Dancer for the Sivir, it's only going to get a little bit harder to try and take them out.
Yeah. And actually, observers are going to do something a little bit cheeky and ask for your involvement. Can we see some of the individual gold that's being racked up between these players? If we switch over and see that, that would be great to see who's got all of this gold. No, I guess we can't say
not
that.
Listening.
That's it. Okay. guess I'm too cheeky for that
you
one.
You are not really God here.
You have no power here.
No power here. What do you do? Nothing
you would deny an old man his gold totals? Apparently would you. But Valiance, they are at least get themselves a couple of objective bounties. It's not enough to really stabilize what's happening now. We thought it maybe would be for a little bit. And of course, I suppose all it takes is one person making a bad enough pick at this point. You don't want to take these fights. As soon as there's the Vi on the table, very, very in danger at that point. But
look at Adam.
Another turret. Adam is very happy just taking a lot of jungle camps. Just being on that side of the map.
I was going to say, look at where he's trying to go right now. He's trying to push in the wave and then immediately look for a massive flank. He's going to try to come up from the jungle. We're going to have a 5v5. It's going to be a bit of a pincer movement. Adam finally finishes off his flank, and they have no idea he's here, but they know that they have got full coverage here. Adam's going to have full access
so strong as well.
Onto the backside. He goes in. They're going to put the fire right in on top of the Ahri. The Spirit rushes to try and reset this fight, but the Amumu is already dead.
This is brutal.
Viego, Draven, they're all falling to the wayside because they have nowhere to go, nothing to do except go back to the gray screen and think about what they did 20 minutes into the game, and this game is looking all but done here for BDSA.
Adam is not an enemy, Adam is the enemy. Walks over Valiance in that fight, and he is taking no prisoners. He's walking Diva back to base.
Well, he's definitely giving him a little bit of a shortcut right there. This is going to be the Dragon Soul point now. And again, look at this flank coming out right now from Adam. He even had it on the bot side from the Lissandra. There was just no escape.
They have no knowledge. They have no knowledge. They have zero vision at that point. Comes straight out of fog like bat out of hell, and he just destroys Valiance. They were trying to hold this like front to back, play around a pick, maybe get Draven some damage onto the first target, but it just doesn't work out that way. BDS Academy, they do not allow Valiance a single inch in that fight.
I mean, this is the difference, really, that we were talking about. Yes, you can throw a curveball in as the EBL, but you're still going against the LFL, the probably most decorated region in the entirety of EU Masters, even though it's only had a 4 or 5 year history at this point. And we're not going to stop the action right now, Nightmare. We're going to go straight back in and see if we can keep going on top of this, because this buy with the Wild Growth is just so damn big. Now we found our target. You violed in, you get that kill. Yes, you've got ArcaneTeddy off of the backside, but you're only going to be so tanky. Now Adam can join the backside of this fight. It's an absolute massacre here around the mid lane, and at 22 minutes, this looks like it's the end.
It's the end for Valiance in their first game. The LFL's first game in groups is domination. Could you expect any less? LFL is here to play.
They are indeed. Might not be the end of the game just yet, because they did lose out despite getting the full ace. They will, however, crack open the base. And this is just going to kind of be a formality right now.
That's the thing, right? It is effectively over at this point. We have a Draven, which has been shut down so many times. Paladin, though they managed to start off with a level 1 very strongly, not able to impact the game. And BDS, their playmaking has just been excellent. They've found the angles. They've been incredibly good at pushing up the tempo of the game. When Valiance are walking around to just get some rudimentary wards, find themselves a way to protect their lanes, they've been picked off. Every time an ultimate is off cooldown, BDS have used it to kill someone. Paladin, again, he's just trying to do the bare minimum, and he's going to walk over into Adam and die.
Yeah, I mean, Paladin, you flashed, but he's got movement speed. 1, 2, uni, flu. Helps with all your cold and flu-like symptoms. Hashtag
well,
not sponsored.
I think Valiance are coming down with a case of Aatrox. That one's going to be haunting them for a little while. Another kill on that bot side. Adam still has flash, still has teleport, can impact this next fight. And Reeker has picked up a Magi Soul Stealer for himself as well. No threat of him dying, he feels. He's going to be at the fight with his brethren solo laner on the top side of the map. BDS going to take down that Baron, and Valiance outside of Miracle Steel, which isn't going to be even range for, have no way into this game.
Yeah, no way into this game, no way into this Baron pit, no way into a full colored screen. They are looking at gray a hell of a lot of time. 23-7, a 10,000 gold lead, and they are not done with it just yet. They want more kills. They want more kills than there are minutes in the game played. So far, they're doing pretty damn good for that, and the train does not stop. Sheo moves forward and gets himself another one for the tally. That's 25 for BDSA as they continue their tirade into the base of Valiance. There's just no protection. You may have found your walls, you may have a giant space laser, but we can still kill you regardless of what you have.
And on that day, the EBL received a grim reminder of what lays outside those walls. The LFL Titans come to play, smack down the base, and claim their first win.
Yeah, they will be just a formality at the moment. You got to give the EBL champions some credit, though. They go down fighting right to the very end, and that's always good to see. We'll take down Adam. Shutdown goes on to ArcaneTeddy, and that's all we wanted. Let's go, boys. The Irish top laner getting themselves some nice little cred. But at the end of it all, it's still BDSA that win.
If that's the best you can take from that game, kind of tells you the whole story. But clip that last minute out, take some quotes out of it. It just tells the story of it, right? Because as much as I love the underdog story, there is a reasonable kind of end to it when you think, look, this team is just so strong in BDS Academy. I love underdog stories, but this was always likely to be the outcome.
I mean, there's an underdog story, and then there's a cat in a bag under a bridge in a river story, where it's just never going to end very well.
You know, there was an old Roman punishment, which was kind of like that. There's like a cat, a rat, and a snake, like in a bag. There's a whole thing. Look it up sometime if you're really into that kind of stuff, I suppose.
I don't know where that came from in the back of your head. The back of your mind was just like, by the way, you need this bit of nugget of information right now.
Do you know what the fastest man-made object was? It was a probe which NASA threw into the sun at 180 kilometers a second. Still not as fast as Adam that game. Crazy.
No, not as fast as Adam or as fast as I'm about to throw the disc break. We'll see you guys very soon.